Hey, so I'm really actually excited that I figured out how to do this. So I'm in my office right now, just on the floor, and I have a piece of paper just taped to my glass, and that's just so it's easy to register. I might be able to kind of pull it back up and down. So what I've done here is I've taken the printmaking ink and I've mixed it with water. You want to mix it slowly. So I added a tiny bit of water, mix it up. It's going to look like it's not going to mix, but just keep mixing it and it will actually mix together. And then I just kept adding water until it was the consistency that I wanted. Basically I wanted it so it didn't like hang off the brush. Um, and That's kind of how I got it. So you don't want to add too much water or it's going to dry really quickly. Um, but I figured I got it to a consistency that I was relatively happy with. I just kept adding water little by little. I'm just using like a crappy horsehair brush here. You can really use any brush, or you could even use maybe like a dip pen if you have that. But I'm trying to just draw on the glass here, and it actually stays wet a pretty long time, especially when you can actually kind of keep kind of going back into the lines you've drawn and sort of recharging them, as you can see I did with the nose. Um, and Yeah, so I'm just, I have a problem sometimes like being too like tight with my drawing, so I'm trying to be like a little looser and not worry so much about perspective. But you can see I'm just kind of like drawing a skull here with my brush, and I was really happy with the results. So I'm just kind of going over these lines. I'm being pretty loose. I'm filling stuff in. So I think with this one, I was a little conservative, and I like made the drawing like a little too wet, and uh, it really like beaded a little bit when I made the print. So, and then I do two of these, and then the next time I stay a little drier. I'm a little more confident about this ink uh, staying wet longer. So, what's really nice about this, you can do shading too. So I can shade and just the areas that look dark are the things that are going to be dark. And then I, I think I'm taking not too long with this. I think you need to like be relatively quick. You can see that I did not line up the paper right, so I'm moving it, and then I'm moving it back over that skull thing, and then I'm just putting it over that thing. It's kind of at a weird angle, but whatever. And then I'm just flattening with my hand and then going over with the brayer. Um, and the results are really good. I'm just using like crappy newsprint. And so if you're using the printmaking paper, it's going to look even nicer than what I'm doing. Um, and you can see that like you can kind of be really specific, but then you have to kind of just leave things up to chance. And so like you get these actually like surprising but really satisfying prints, and I'm really happy with them. I think they almost kind of look like uh, charcoal prints or something like that. There it is. And Yeah, no, I really like how kind of some of it like was unintentional, some of it is intentional, but it's very satisfying. Uh, and You can see that I'm going over it again with like a small piece of paper, and it still lifts off a little bit, as you can see. Like you still get some, so that it stays wet for pretty long time. That oil is keeping it from drying out, which is great. So I'm just balling up the piece of paper and I'm just kind of wiping the glass clean here. And I'm going to do one more. Um, and I'm just grabbing another piece of paper behind me and ripping it up. I'm not trying to be fancy with my ripped paper. I'm just trying to be like fast. So yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not making a statement. Uh, Though I do kind of like the rip paper. So yeah, I'm just taking a piece of tape, taping it to the glass again so I don't have to worry about it, and then just flipping it up. And yeah, there I go. There's my bald head. And I'm making sure to like mix up the ink because it is going to have a tendency to settle because it doesn't want to mix with the water. But it should look pretty mixed. I wouldn't worry too much about it. So I'm just kind of, I can actually see like the ghost of my old drawing in there. So I'm kind of just going back over it and maybe I'm gonna make some changes there. And yeah, I'm just, this time around, I'm just a lot more confident that the ink is going to stay wet. So I'm not using as deep of a line or as like wet of a mark. Um, and I'm just taking my time more. I'm like going a little slower. Um, you know, the amount of time I took to draw this, I definitely did not have any areas that dried out. Um, I have not just sat there and timed how long it takes for the ink to dry out, um, but I would be relatively confident that it was going to stay wet for at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Um, Maybe more. I mean, the oil in there is still really keeping it from drying out. And then, like, the worst case scenario, what you could do is you could just take your spray bottle and just like spritz the whole thing and let it soak in for a second, and then press the paper down onto it. So yeah, I'm trying to stay like really loose, not trying to make a masterpiece here. And yeah, I'm just kind of drawing that same skull. And I drew out teeth this time, which is really satisfying and no trouble with the teeth drying out. It was pretty easy. Um, and yeah, this is also really nice is that it's super easy to erase. I just balled up that piece of paper and like wiped out an area that I didn't like. So there you go. Um, and so that's really nice and really convenient. And yeah, I'm just kind of going back over it and um, sorry, I'm now like I'm concentrating slightly more because I'm drawing little teeth. But it's surprising how detailed you can get with these prints. Um, and yeah, you know, I've drawn quite a few skulls in my time, and I don't know why, but I feel like the teeth are always my favorite part because they're kind of gross. Because teeth are kind of gross. Um, and yeah, I'm just kind of adding it and adding the jawbone there. And I kind of noticed that I think the right side looks a little strange, so I just kind of, in a second, I'm going to draw a line to kind of redefine that right edge. Yeah, just like that. And then yeah, I think my favorite part about this is that you can really shade, and you can shade it kind of like it's charcoal. Like the end result is very satisfying. Somewhere in between an ink drawing and a charcoal drawing because of the way it kind of dries. And right now I'm just kind of stippling with the brush. This brush is kind of dirty now, and I'm just kind of like patchily adding kind of some stuff. Like right there, I just like beaded a bunch of ink in the middle of the eye socket. And yeah, so I put the paper on top of it and I put it at an angle by accident. So I kind of actually have two prints on top of this paper. So don't do this. Make sure that your laying the paper down as flat as possible. And to do that, you want to make sure just have the biggest piece of tape you can use. So like the length of the paper, and that's going to make it a lot easier to create a clean looking print. But maybe you don't want it to be clean. That's totally fine too. I mean, that's what's really nice about this process is that it's like slightly random, slightly strange. And I actually kind of like that one. Like, it looks really. I'm showing it to because I flipped the camera around. There we go. But yeah, it's like kind of cool. So I want you to try a few of these, and hopefully you have as much fun as I did.